Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to talk about a bit of a situation that has been brewing up in the HSR community, specifically on X/Twitter. Because boy, oh boy, we've already made a couple of videos covering this issue, maybe just one, and naturally, it's about the same sort of topic once again. And so if you're not familiar with what's actually going on over here, there are some community members in HSR who are kind of freaking out a little bit because of the gender of two people in a fictional relationship that's made up in people's heads. Yes, I know, it's crazy. People are getting mad about ships, specifically ships between a male character and a female character. This is the sort of the context coming on into it. HSR has already had people absolutely freaking out because of this one scene in a trailer where you have individuals, because it's a male MC and then the female Cyrene/Elysia, knowing that the MC is basically gender fluid in this game, people were really upset by it. And you don't have to take my word for it. We actually got the examples of what people were saying. You got that. You also got some other critical ones over here. This is probably the most well-worded of them all. Don't worry, there's a lot more. Xiaoji needs to XXX. Imagine what these three asterisks are actually saying. They deserve the hate for this slop. And guys, oh, I don't even know why this guy's on here. This is all why stuff is occurring, ladies and gentlemen, because of a male character and a female character holding hands in a trailer. Death threats to the devs. So that's the context of what's going on in this situation. Let's keep reading into it and see what a chart is causing over here. The top 3 ships. Somebody literally wants to go re-roll IRL from seeing the top-rated ships in HSR. It gets worse the more you read. Notice how too many are incest and PDF ships. That's because heterosexuality is a disease and a mental illness that needs to be eradicated. Half of these ships, and guys, you want to know what we're actually looking at over here? We've got the original post. These are the ships. At the top, you have Adventurine and Topaz, 2 characters in the same faction. Anaxa and Aglaia, 2 characters heavily intertwined in the lore. Dan Hung and March 7th. Sunday and Robin. Okay, that's a little weird. Yan Qing and Yun Li. Luocha and Su Sheng. Jing Yuan and Jing Liu. Blade and Kafka. Zhao Kui and Fei Zhao. Jing Yuan and Fu Xuan. Finon and Cyrene. Guys. Sure. I can see these two are siblings, so that one's a little bit weird. I actually don't know why it's so highly rated. Maybe China's a really big fan of Game of Thrones. But everything else on here is like, who cares? Wow, how bad could these necessarily be? To the point where we're going ahead and we're saying that heterosexuality is a disease and a mental illness. Let me just be clear about one thing over here. If the poster of this post, Maddie, if Maddie's parents had the same exact mindset that Maddie did right now, Maddie would not exist. I don't think that they've actually thought that far ahead in kind of like how the situation is working out over here, in that there's only a certain way that the human civilization continues over time. And if this was actually the commonplace thought, and if everyone thought this way, and they're saying this is the right way to think, the human population would actually be going down every year. Because the majority of people, I guess, in this situation are not heterosexual and not creating children. It's just, at this point, what has this community turned into? And why are there so many people like this? And honestly, why are these guys just getting laughed out of the building? I think the thing is that the Hoyoverse community, anything when it comes to ships, anything when it comes to characters, I don't think they can really be taken particularly seriously. This guy is the same one who ran a rag on Baldy, because Baldy read out a Twitter name out loud. Aren't Tech and this guy friends? I thought they were buddy-buddy. What occurred? Oh, Maddie got mad. Ah, okay. For some context of that, Chibi Reviews, a friend of Tectone, actually responded to the situation. Was scrolling and I saw this abomination of a post on my timeline. Heterosexuality is a disease and a mental illness. Someone failed school and learned nothing about life, about how all life is reproduced. So yeah, kind of like the same thoughts over here, right? I'm not gonna hate on it. I'm not gonna hate on it. And apparently this Maddie individual got really upset at some creators like Tectone for reading out their handle. I'm going to be honest here. If you're going to get upset if people say this out loud, I'm not going to say it because I don't want people to clip it out of context. I'm not going to say it. But the fact of the matter is that if you don't like other people saying it out loud, maybe it shouldn't be your name on the platform. Because then people can respond with shit like that. I think the fact of the matter is this community is a little bit cooked. And I think it's just something that you kind of have to keep in mind as the player base of this game dwindles. Because when you have a title like Honkai Star Rail, that's kind of like at the point where it's starting to eliminate a good portion of its player base, especially like the biggest crowd, the free-to-plays, by adding in power creep, adding in HP inflation, adding in all of these global passives, dog shit mechanics like that. The situation is that the only people that are going to be left playing this game are either its biggest fans of the meta or the biggest fans of its characters. And when the biggest fans of its characters traditionally act like fucking freaks, then, well, that's the bed that you're going to be laying in as a player of this title. And I'm just going to be entirely honest about this situation. This is not great. This is not very cash money. And this is something that I think the player base implicitly sort of supports. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but a good portion of the community. Because I don't understand where really the confidence is across these individuals to just be regularly posting this stuff on a daily basis. Unless there's somebody like saying, and you can clearly see over here, maybe the first guy didn't get that many engagements, but these guys are. This is worrying. This is like seeing somebody drop multiple racial slurs in a public space and then proceed to get like dollar bills raining down on them for doing it. But the thing is that this is like all online and like no other games other than Hoyoverse games do shit like this. And when the player base of those games are dropping like crazy, it is literally just becoming a den, a hive mind, a collection of mental illness. And I feel like they haven't been this brazen or this confident before. And it seems to only be getting worse. Because straight up, we were at the point where we were sending death threats to developers because two characters held hands in a fucking trailer, brother. And now we're calling for heterosexuality to be abolished because two characters with an established relationship in lore are being headcanoned as being in a relationship. That's rough, brother. That's a little spicy, brother. And unfortunately, that is what this title, that is what this game is becoming known for. And that's the impression that it's having across the player base. Thinking back on this, looking back on this, hey, give me all the gathering wives you can. Hey, make Rover fuck everybody. I don't care. Because then, if Rover's the one that's in a relationship with everybody, you don't got to deal with these fucking freaks in your community. Right? Hey, if everyone loving Rover means that these people don't play Wuthering Waves, I'm down. I'm down. This person ain't gonna play? I'm down. They're gonna skip the title? Fuck yeah. Best shit ever. Honestly. You can kind of look back at the story development. You can kind of look back at the track record of Wuthering Waves itself. And Wuwa not being as character-centric actually has to be one of the biggest blessings. A blessing in disguise that a lot of players talk shit about. It's one of the biggest blessings that the game has had. No forced relationships between other units. The story integration the story integration for all the relationships actually makes sense, actually feels meaningful, not actually tacked on. And no dialogue bloat, just to pretend that you're drawing a relationship between two characters, right? And in the process of doing that, those are all like the benefits of the actual story. Then you have all the benefits of the community, of essentially, and I mean this in the best way possible, they're gatekeeping all of the actual freaks. Because you're basically eliminating the possibility that they can have any of these actual mental delusions within the woo-wah community. And so maybe Kuro knew, right? Maybe Kuro knew how fucking odd the Genshin community was going to get about certain ships, and that's why they didn't do that much of it in the game, because they didn't want to deal with that in the future going forward. And I'm going to be real. It only seems to be getting worse and worse for these titles. And I am very much looking forward to not seeing any of this in Wuthering Waves for the foreseeable future. So that's going to be my opinion on the whole gathering-wise, on the whole master love sort of thing. If it gets these fucking losers out of here, keep doing it. Just keep doing it. But we do have our own little barrier coming up. We do have our own little conundrum coming up. Because as we all know in Wuthering Waves, ladies and gentlemen, all I gotta do is just look at some of the drip marketing that's come out, right? Who do we have? Well, probably people that are going to pretend that these two are lesbians in a relationship and then say that you need to be eradicated off the face of the earth if you dare think that they aren't. And the one thing that I'll say, Wuthering Waves community, is that now is the time to go tell all of those individuals who you know are coming because they don't have anything better to do with their life. You got to tell them to go fuck themselves. And I think that's the way that we go about it. We move on. We get past this hurdle. And then we can just confirm that we will never, ever actually be like the Hoyoverse community, at least when it comes to this sort of shit. That'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a crazy issue, but also a bit of a warning for what the future of woo-wah might hold, because guess what? There's no commitment involved. There's no commitment involved with being this retarded. You can immediately, like, pick up all your stuff. You can pick up all of your stuff, and then on a dime, go be retarded in another community. Zero effort, zero lift. And I can almost guarantee you'll see similar stuff like this between Mavuika, Augusta and Yuno very, very, very soon. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's from Maddie over here. Let me know what you all think. Peace.